In this video, I will tell you everything you need to know about the HP OMEN 15 gaming laptop, and why it is worth your attention. I have had this laptop for about 3 weeks, and tested it with various different workloads including editing this video. Editing photos, video exports and game recording is what I typically do with my laptop, and everything ran flawlessly on this machine. My configuration comes with a Ryzen 5 4600H CPU, 512 GB of SSD, 8 GB of RAM, a 15.6-inch 1080p IPS panel with 144Hz refresh rate and GTX 1660 Ti graphics card with 6 GB of video RAM. It has a 70.9 watt-hour battery. I recently reviewed the HP Pavilion Gaming 15 laptop on the channel. Click the card above if you are interested in the review, and this is the step-up model in HP's lineup of gaming laptops. HP is perhaps not the first brand you come to think of when it comes to gaming laptops, but they have completely redesigned the OMEN chassis from previous year. Many reviewers have praised this new design. After hearing many good things about this new design, I decided to take a look myself. This is one of the few chassis that supports both Intel and AMD CPU platforms. But there is a major difference that I will cover later in the video. Inside you are immediately greeted by the laptop, wrapped in a plastic cover. There is no box in a box or any other plastic foam that protects the laptop during transportation. The unboxing experience is plain and simple. The OMEN logo on the lid is shiny and has a gradient of blue and green color. Below the cardboard we will find some papers and manual, and then the cords and charging adapter. That's it. Nothing else in the box. The charge brick looks surprisingly slim. This is something that HP has been working on to bring a smaller, more lightweight power adapter, and I think they have done a good job achieving that. Taking a look at the newly designed OMEN, the front side looks very clean, with the gray, non-shiny finish. The lid is made from plastics, but it doesn't seem to collect fingerprints that easily. Underneath we can see this new HP design, with large cutouts for ventilation. These cutouts take up almost half of the bottom. Right side is populated with ports. There are plenty of USB ports on this device, and on the left side, we can find an SD card reader and additional ports. The charge port is also located on this side. This seems to be a modern and clean-looking design. The charger that comes with the OMEN 15 weighs just 650 grams, and that's including the cords, but it is much slimmer compared to a conventional laptop charger. Compared to a 6.4-inch Samsung Galaxy Note 9 smartphone, it has roughly the same footprint and just slightly thicker. HP OMEN 15 has a polycarbonate build. The lid and the bottom is made from plastics, but the keyboard deck is metal. Thanks to the metal, the deck feels very sturdy and can take quite a lot of force without any flex. It's a solid build. It doesn't have your typical gaming laptop outlook with light bars or dragons. Instead, it comes with a plain and simple dark gray color with the HP OMEN logo in the middle. Aesthetically, this laptop would blend into a normal office environment without people paying much attention. HP has done something special to the surface treatment because it feels very polished. Some reviewers have said it collects fingerprints very easy, but I found that to be incorrect. The lid is not immune to fingerprints, but it does a far better job repelling oil and grease than the Acer Predator Helios 300 I recently reviewed. The keyboard area will naturally be more prone to fingerprints, but even here I found it to be surprisingly clean after 3 weeks of daily use. My configuration weighs around 2.1 kilograms or 4.6 pounds. Weight distribution is quite balanced, and you can open the lid with one hand. Bottom side houses the ventilation system. HP completely re-engineered the OMEN series from scratch, and the results of this new design is very impressive. I could literally feel with my hands how much air was being pushed out from the bottom and the backside of this laptop. This cooling system is the best I have seen on a gaming laptop this year. There is a tiny gap between the display and the rest of the keyboard. This design is not commonly seen on laptops, but it helps the airflow as it takes in ambient air via the in-grills and pushes out the hot air through the rear vents. Speaking of the display, there is a fair amount of screen flex. The panel is quite soft, and you can push it down almost like a cushion. However, I don't think it affects the long-term durability, as I recently carried the OMEN 15 on a transatlantic flight, and I had my backpack stuffed to the brim, yet the laptop survived it without any damage or screen cracking. As long as you treat it with care, just like any other laptop, it will survive just fine. Just like Lenovo, HP have chosen a keyboard with lots of key travel. Each keystroke feels more distinctive and tactile. Gaming laptops from Acer and Asus typically have softer, mushier keys with linear key press, while Lenovo and HP's keyboard feels more digital and gives a bit more resistance. It's a preference thing. Personally, I can get used to both types of keyboards. So this information is more for people who want to know what the keyboard feels like. To the right side, next to the sticker placement, there is the new logo design. The rest of the keyboard deck looks very clean. There are no physical numpad on the OMEN 15. Instead, HP have moved out the arrow keys and some of the functional keys to the right. So this now looks more like a traditional desktop keyboard. On the top you have the keys for OMEN Command Center, Calculator, and the navigation keys. This arrangement makes it very easy to find these keys quickly. The OMEN 15 has RGB backlight. It's a 4-zone system, and this can be customized in the OMEN Command Center software. However, the backlight can only show one color at a time, and the lights are static and doesn't change dynamically. 2 speakers are located on each side of the laptop. I find these to sound better than the average gaming laptop, because speakers are not physically blocked by the table or the surface. The volume level is not the loudest I have heard from a gaming laptop, but it sits around average. If you found the information useful, please give the video a like. This will let me know if you want to see more review videos, and I also read every comment that you guys post. And thank you so much for subscribing. I truly appreciate all of you who follows the channel. The HP OMEN 15 is well equipped when it comes to ports. On the right-hand side, there is USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port that supports USB-C charging, as well as Thunderbolt 3, a mini display port, and 2 USB Type-A ports. On the left-hand side, you will find the charging port, Gigabit Ethernet, 1 more USB-A port, and a HDMI 2.0 connector. In addition to that, there is also an audio combo jack and a rare SD card reader. There are not many gaming laptops out there with a card reader, so the fact that HP has included this is a big plus in my opinion. A 720p HD webcam can also be found on top of the display. A status indicator next to it will lit whenever the webcam is active. The quality on the webcam is grainy, especially in low light situations, but it is adequate for video meetings with friends and family. When HP designed the new OMEN 15, they made sure that it covered both Intel and AMD CPU platforms. On the Intel side, there is the option of a 10th Gen i5 or i7 processor. For the AMD platform, HP ships the OMEN 15 with either the R5 or R7 CPU. The choice of CPU is important because it will decide the level of graphics card that you will be able to get with the OMEN 15. With the AMD platform, graphics options will be limited, as you can only go up to an RTX 2060 level graphics card. With Intel, you have more options on graphics, as you can step up to the RTX 2070 level of graphics card with Max-Q design. RAM and storage options will be similar for both laptops. Intel CPUs run DDR4 memories at 2933 MHz. With AMD CPUs, RAM will run slightly faster at 3200 MHz. There are 2 physical slots inside the laptop, and you can upgrade the memory up to 32 GB. As for storage size, these come in different configurations. You will find SSDs up to 1 TB pre-installed. If you want to upgrade your storage capacity, there is room for a second M.2 NVMe SSD next to the battery. Upgrading the RAM and SSD is very easy with this laptop. It takes just a couple of minutes to remove the bottom cover and do the upgrade. When it comes to the display, there are a couple of different panel options. The base model is a matte 250 nits IPS display, with full HD resolution and 60 Hz refresh rate. This panel would be found in the cheapest, entry-level configurations of the OMEN 15. I would avoid this panel and instead choose the mid-tier panel, which has the same 1080p resolution, but a faster 144 Hz refresh rate panel. This panel is brighter at 300 nits and covers 91% sRGB and 72% NTSC color gamut. The third option will be a 300 Hz version of the 1080p panel. This display is suited for both gaming and content creation. For wireless connectivity, the OMEN 15 supports the latest Wi-Fi 6, as well as Bluetooth 5. The unit I bought has the latest mobile CPU from AMD, the R5-4600H. This is a 6-core, 12-threaded CPU that can rival Intel's latest i7. 8 GB of RAM in dual-channel configuration, running at 3200 MHz. 512 GB of SSD and Nvidia GTX 1660 Ti graphics. If you upgrade this to 16 GB of RAM, I believe this will be the sweet spot between price versus performance. For CPU performance, I used the Cinebench benchmark app. In Cinebencher 15, the processor scored 177 points in single-core, 1462 points in multi-core, and 94 frames per second in OpenGL. This is the highest score I have seen for a Ryzen-based laptop using the R5 CPU, and even beats out the i7 processor in multi-core. In Cinebencher 20, single-core score was 455, and multi-core received a score of 3,460. You may pause the video if you wish to compare the results. Moving into gaming tests. All games were tested in ultra settings using latest Nvidia drivers, 1080p resolution, and VSync disabled. All results are based on the performance mode, to test the best possible results out of the box. No undervolting or other tweaks were applied. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I ran the game's built-in benchmark, and in ultra settings, the OMEN 15 managed to pull 47 frames per second. You can see how this compares to other gaming laptops I have tested in the past. Batman Arkham Knight was also tested using the built-in benchmark. The combination of AMD CPU and Nvidia graphics card resulted in 64 frames per second as average result. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided was tested using the built-in benchmark, and the game nearly scored a solid 60 frames per second. If you lower the graphics quality, you should be able to hit a solid 60 frames per second. In F1 2018, I recorded an average FPS of 99 with the built-in benchmark at 1080p and ultra settings. Far Cry 5 scored 81 frames per second in average, using the built-in benchmark. Shadow of the Tomb Raider scored 69 frames per second in the built-in benchmark. This is in ultra settings in 1080p with VSync disabled. Total War: Three Kingdoms. This is a real-time strategy game, so it is not as important to get very high frame rates compared to a first-person shooter. The OMEN 15 managed 45 frames per second, using the built-in benchmark. A very playable frame rate for this type of game. This laptop will have no issues running games like Apex Legends, Valorant, Counter-Strike, or Fortnite, especially if you are playing at medium to high settings. In Fortnite, you will easily get over 70 to 80 frames per second on epic settings. These games are typically less demanding on your hardware, as they are optimized to be played on less capable machines. The hotspots of this laptop is in the area close to the panel. This is where they would typically place the CPU and the graphics. In balanced mode, the noise level was around 39 decibels, and in performance mode, this was considerably louder at 49 decibels. While this isn't the loudest of gaming laptops I have tested on the channel, it is still loud, and you might want to use a pair of headphones for longer gaming sessions. Battery life is excellent on the OMEN 15, at least with the Ryzen platform. With the 70.9 watt-hour battery, I was able to get 7 hours and 32 minutes streaming a YouTube video with screen on half brightness. Gaming on battery isn't a great experience on laptops, as most games would be capped at 30 frames per second, and games typically only last between 60 to 90 minutes. With my configuration of the OMEN 15, I managed to get 140 minutes of battery life while playing Fortnite in an online battle royale match. The result is some of the best battery life from all the laptops I have tested so far on the channel. If you are looking for a gaming laptop with good performance and awesome battery life, you should consider this laptop. HP has made it easy to maintain this laptop. By removing the screws from the bottom cover, you will get access to internals. The cover will come off without much effort. Inside you will find the 2 RAM slots, the 70.9 watt-hour battery, and 2 M.2 SSDs. The left one is your main drive and the right one is usually empty. The 2020 edition of HP OMEN 15 competes in the same category as Lenovo Legion 5, Acer Predator Helios 300, and Asus ROG Strix G15. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the other laptops, but I think it offers the best all-round experience in the competitive field of mid-range gaming laptops. It has a solid screen with pleasant keyboard experience and a top-notch battery life. Performance and thermals are all check. Build quality is above average, and selection of ports are well thought out. I can't really think of a big weakness with this laptop. If you are looking for a gaming laptop that can last you 3 to 4 years, has good value for money, and excellent performance to cost ratio, then you may consider the OMEN 15. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that like button and share the video to your friends. Subscribe to bookmark the channel and click the bell icon next to the subscribe button to get notified when new review videos are posted. Post your questions in the comments section, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care.